I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, it is producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So, to put all of this in perspective, Krishna is explaining that here we are in this material world, originally the living entity being part and parcel of Krishna is in the spiritual world, but right now, due to envy, we find ourselves in this material manifestation. The material manifestation is more or less like a prison house, where the conditioned souls are under the tight grip of shackles by the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And although we have left Krishna's abode, Krishna has not abandoned us. He has accompanied us, and he's living with us as our super soul, the Lord within the heart. And even the material cosmic manifestation is one of Krishna's multi-energies. So, although Krishna's personally in his abode, simultaneously he is existing in this material world, both as the material energy and also as the super soul. So you could say from one angle of vision, Krishna is not here. And from another angle of vision, Krishna is here, because everything you see, everything you touch is Krishna's energy. So in that sense, Krishna is here. But Krishna himself as a person, he is residing in his own abode in the spiritual world. And yet another angle of vision, Krishna is within your heart as his expansion known as Paramatma, super soul. So you can say from this angle of vision, Krishna is present here, but that super soul is an expansion of Krishna, and Krishna himself is situated happily, most enjoyingly in his own abode. So he's here and he's not here at the same time. This is what is meant by something being simultaneously one and different. He's here, and from another angle of vision, he's not here. And again, Krishna pointed out that this material cosmic manifestation is under his thumb. It is not independent, as some people like to believe. The material energy, Durga, is one of the many dedicated servants of Krishna, and therefore she is fully under the control of Krishna, as he said at the end of this section, that this material energy, Krishna is overseeing, superintending, not necessarily directly, because he has his expansions and servants, but actually you could say directly and indirectly, Krishna is controlling everything. And that is the gist of this section. In this next section of chapter 9, which is verses 11 through 15, Krishna will explain the Duratma, the Mahatma, and other classes of human beings. Let's take a look. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as Supreme Lord of all that be. And those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So this is the Duratma. Krishna explained this in chapter 7. He said that there were 4 kinds of persons who refused to surrender to him. They are known as demons, and he categorized them into 4 classes. And here he goes further, that sometimes Krishna will appear in the human form as Krishna himself, but because Krishna is appearing like, and that's the very important word, like or looks like a human being, they cannot accept, they cannot believe that Krishna is the supreme God of all gods. And therefore, again, continuing their envy, which began when they left the spiritual world, the conditioned living entity acting as a demon refuses to love and serve Krishna, and therefore mocks or derides Krishna, not accepting that he is the supreme personality Godhead, the God of all other gods. And therefore Krishna says, yes, because they deride me, because they blaspheme me, what will happen? Everything they do will eventually be destroyed. And there are so many classic examples in the Vedas and the Puranas. Hiranyakashipu, he derided Lord Nrsimha. He was destroyed. Ravan, he was destroyed because he was envious of Krishna when he appeared as Lord Ram. And of course, King Kamsa, he directly tried to kill Krishna in so many ways. And then when the time was right, when Krishna was ready, he killed the evil King Kamsa. So these are just the classic examples, whether on a microcosmic level or macrocosmic level. Anyone who defies Krishna or anyone who challenges the superiority of Krishna, then their culture of knowledge, everything they do will be baffled and ultimately be destroyed. Now, Krishna will explain the opposite of a Duratma, the Mahatma. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So in these two verses, Krishna explained the great souls. The Duratma, the demon, he or she is under Krishna's external energy, and therefore they're under the influence of the illusory energy. But the Mahatma, or great soul, he's under the protection of Krishna's divine spiritual energy. That is also known as bhakti. Devotional service is the internal potency of Krishna. The material energy is the external potency. So the demon, the Duratma, he takes shelter, he must take shelter of the material energy. You only have two choices. You're either going to take shelter of the material energy, or you're going to take shelter of the spiritual energy. Those are your two options as a living entity. The Mahatmas, they take shelter of the internal spiritual potency, also known as Mother Hara. When we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we are taking shelter of the divine spiritual energy. And therefore we are protected by Mother Hara. Now Krishna also said what were the activities of the Mahatma, because he must perform spiritual activities. This we learned in chapter 3 and chapter 4 and chapter 5. That devotional service, bhakti yoga, means spiritual activity. And therefore they are chanting, they are working for Krishna, they are serving Krishna, they bow down to Krishna, they do everything for Krishna. And Krishna says they perpetually worship him. Not just one day a week. We see some religions, people go to the temple or church or mosque one day a week. But not the real Mahatma. 24/7, 365. Perpetually, life after life, the devotee wants to love and serve Krishna. Krishna continues, others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge, and they worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. So there's a third category. They're not quite ready to worship Krishna in his personal form. They're not quite ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the God of all other gods. But they're unlike the demons who deride Krishna. So they're in between, and they're beginning their spiritual life, their spiritual quest. We see this in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Shukadeva Goswami begins his instructions and answering the questions of Maharaj Parikshit. We see that Shukadeva begins from the first step in God realization, and that is to understand that the entire cosmic manifestation can be seen or viewed from terms of the universal form. It is a type of conception by which one views the cosmic manifestation in terms of a person. And this is, you could say, the beginning for those who are not ready to accept Krishna, the personal form of God, as the object of meditation. So they can begin by seeing Krishna in terms of the cosmic manifestation. Higher than those are those who are trying to realize the supersoul, Krishna's manifestation in the heart. So they are a type of transcendentalist performing meditation and trying to search out that God is in the heart. In verses 16 through 19, Krishna explains who and what he is. Please listen. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sama, and Yajur Vedas. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. O Arjuna, I give heat, and I withhold and send the rain. I am immortality, and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. So here, Krishna is outlining a little bit more of this simultaneous one and difference aspect. That all these things that he listed here in this material world are simply manifestations of his energy. And these special qualities and items, they have their potency and they have their significance because he has empowered these things with his very self. So we should not misunderstand that these things are exactly the same as Krishna, because Krishna still has his individual existence as a separate entity who resides in his own abode. But we should keep in mind that all these different things that we just heard are manifestations of Krishna's potency. This will continue in the next chapter, which is known as the Vibhuti Yoga chapter, where Krishna will explain about 81 different things that he has placed his potency in the material world. Here he was giving a sampler. In the next 2 verses, Krishna explains what happens to those who worship the Vedas. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice seeking the heavenly planets worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. And after they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, when the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So, Krishna mentioned this previously in chapter 2 when he told Arjuna that the Vedas mainly deal with the three modes of material nature and that Arjuna should transcend. So here he goes into more detail. That yes, there is a path, karma kanda, by which you follow the rules and regulations and austerities. But what is your result? Yes, you get to go to the heavenly planet and enjoy just like a demigod, where there is fantastic sense gratification. Indeed, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, when Krishna is speaking the Uddhava Gita, he explains a little more detail of what it's like to live your life in the realm of Indra. He explains that you're always feeling very jubilant, and you go on excursions in your own private airplane, and you're surrounded by beautiful damsels that are chanting your glories, and you get to enjoy uninterrupted sense gratification in very nice heavenly gardens, and your worship, and you think, I am enjoying so nicely. But what did Krishna point out here? You can only stay in this so-called vacation in the heavenly planets to the extent of the pious activities you performed on earth. And when the results are exhausted, because as you enjoy, you're exhausting your pious bank account. And when you've enjoyed fully, and when your pious bank account is exhausted, what did Krishna say? You take birth again here on planet Earth. And if you like, you can do it again, perform austerities and penances, and again go to the heavenly planets, but you can't stay there forever. Even the demigods, Indra himself and others, they can't remain there forever. Everything in this material world, Krishna already pointed out, limited, temporary. So Krishna said, what did you really achieve by following the Vedas for the materialistic end, karma kanda? What you really got is repeated birth and death. Now, in verses 22 through 27, Krishna will go into an analysis of the term worship. Please listen. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. This is a very important verse of Bhagavad Gita. Notice he said exclusive devotion. This is required. If you want Krishna's protection, then you have to worship him exclusively. Your devotion and love cannot be to many persons. It has to be to Krishna alone. And how can you get to that stage? You have to become convinced by reading Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is the supreme God of all other gods, second to none. When that is there, when you are convinced that Krishna is God without any second or competitor, then you are able to come to the stage of exclusive devotion. Now look what Krishna says. As a result of worshiping him exclusively, if you need something, if you're lacking something, he's got it. He'll give it to you. And if you have already achieved something or attained something, Krishna maintains and protects that also. Just see how nice Krishna is with his devotee. Then he continues, those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. Yes, Krishna admits that most people, they are not accepting him as supreme. So they have other gods or goddesses which they think are the supreme, whom they worship. And Krishna is saying, yes, you could say indirectly it's a worship of me, because these demigods and demigoddesses are simply Krishna's servants and representatives, and they're getting their potencies and attractive abilities from Krishna only. They're not separate or independent. So Krishna is saying it's simply a matter of reference. One who is intelligent will understand that these other gods are not separate and independent of Krishna. And by reading Bhagavad Gita, one comes to the understanding that Krishna is supreme. So they're worshiping Krishna indirectly. It's not the real thing. The real thing he mentioned already, exclusive devotion to him. Now he continues, I am the only enjoyer, and I am the only master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So here Krishna is emphasizing, you had better accept him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because if you don't, you are going to fall from your position. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship me will live with me. So, it is not all one. Some people misled by bogus gurus and false sadhus who preach it doesn't matter, you worship any god or demigod, we're all going to go to the same place. Krishna doesn't say that. Krishna is very clear here. Whatever or whomever you worship, that's where you're going to go in your next life. You worship demigods, you're going to go to their abode. You're going to worship your ancestors, that's where you will go. If you worship ghosts and spirits, and we see this, there are many such people in the world where they practice this worship of ghosts and spirits. That's where you will go, to their abodes. And then Krishna clearly says, you worship me, you will come with me. You will live with me. So the choice is yours. Whatever you are worshiping, whatever consciousness you are harboring, that is going to determine your next life. He already said this in chapter 8, when he explained to Arjuna, at the time of death, whatever you're thinking of, that will determine your next life. So better to think and serve of Krishna, because at the time of death, if you've practiced, Krishna again said here, you will come and live with me. If one offers me with love and devotion, there's the key thing that Krishna is looking for. He's looking for your love and devotion. But look, if one offers me a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Just see how easy it is to worship Krishna. He's not demanding very much. He's saying, just offer me a leaf, a flower, fruit, or even water. How easy now to worship Krishna. Remember, at the beginning of this chapter, we learned that this process of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna consciousness, is easily or joyfully performed. The Sanskrit line was susukam kartam. Susukam. Easy. And how much easier can Krishna make it? A leaf, a flower, a fruit, water. Can he make it any easier? And he will accept it, provided there is love and devotion. We should always remember that is the only thing that satisfies Krishna, your love and devotion to him. He continues, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you may perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. This verse is the clear definition of what he mentioned in chapters 3, 4, and 5, Karma Yoga, doing things for Krishna. This is also a very nice, simple definition, because these terms, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, actually they're synonymous. Once one is convinced that Krishna is the object and the goal, then one should understand, as he said earlier, exclusive. So exclusive, here's how to be exclusive. Whatever you're doing, you have to do something. We learned in chapter 3, the soul is active, either in the conditioned state or liberated state. So, since you're eternally active, whatever you're acting, do it for Krishna. Everybody has to eat, so before you eat, offer it to Krishna. Everyone is going to give something away at some time or other, then give something to Krishna or Krishna's movement. And everyone will be forced by circumstance to perform some austerity or penance. Krishna says, do it for me. And the benefit for you will be unlimited. Because Krishna carries what you lack, he preserves what you have. Therefore, the intelligent person does everything for Krishna. And this is what we mean by Krishna consciousness, doing everything and not holding back. Krishna is not so much concerned with what you have already done and given. He's more concerned with what are you holding back. He wants all of your love so that he can reciprocate fully. Remember what he said in chapter 4. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So if you're holding back, then Krishna is also going to hold back, because he does not interfere with your free will. You only want to love Krishna 10%, Krishna will reciprocate 10. Because that's all you want from Krishna. So he doesn't interfere with your free will. And if you give Krishna 100%, then Krishna will reciprocate 100%. The atheist doesn't want to give anything to Krishna, so his surrender to Krishna is 0%. Therefore, Krishna reciprocates 0, and therefore for the atheist, his reciprocation with Krishna is via the material energy. And we've been hearing a lot in this Bhagavad Gita, this material energy, not such a nice deal. But if you give everything to Krishna, then Krishna will give everything to you. The choice is yours. How much do you want to give to Krishna? Think about that. How much do you want to give to Krishna? And now for the final section of chapter 9, verses 28 through 34, the glories of Krishna's devotees. In this way, you will be freed from the bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. This is significant because a lot of people, they don't mind becoming free from inauspicious work, but they're still attached and they want to enjoy their materially auspicious work. So this question is sometimes raised. Why is Krishna saying that you become free from the bondage of auspicious work? Because if you have auspicious material work and you want to enjoy the fruits, you have to come back to the material world in your next life in order to enjoy it. So if Krishna didn't do that, he wouldn't be fully reciprocating. When he takes away both auspicious and inauspicious results, that means now you are eligible to enter his abode. But if you want to hold on to your auspicious results, then you can't go to his spiritual abode. You have to come back and take birth again. With your mind fixed on me, with this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So this is what liberation means. Liberated both from good and bad material reactions. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all because, from Krishna's perspective, everyone is his child. Krishna does not hate one child and love another. We're all his children, equally so. We all come from him, both the good and the bad. Good and bad is our choice, not Krishna's. Krishna loves every one of us, so he is equally to everyone. Now listen. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to that person. This is natural because Krishna is a person. Just look at yourself. You probably consider yourself also equal to all, but if someone shows you special attention,